Welcome all you cinema drunks to the 5-year anniversary special on Cinema Gulp.
I can't believe it's been 5 years of having fun creating content for this show. We've had shows that we thought were great and bombed on YouTube. We've had shows that we didn't think were special and ended up becoming some of our highest viewed shows. We've had puppet shows, John, comedy roasts, dance off, Christmas specials, Halloween shows, drinking contests, music videos. All right, I'll stop. And clown shows. And this year has been our biggest year in subscription growth. A lot of that has to do with the pandemic, obviously, but we've grown the community, added new channels that we collaborate and converse with, and that's really helped expansion as well. And this has been an interesting year for you and I on the show because it's been so different than all the other years. You know, we didn't get much time doing stuff in our actual green screen studio. A lot of it was over Zoom, which has turned out to be okay, but...
It's okay, but I miss you, man.
I miss you too.
Out. I miss having fun over in the Cinema Gulp studio.
I miss putting together the sketches and stuff.
It's funny you mentioned that. I mean, that's something I guess we could jump into and talk about, the Cinema Gulp studios, which we really do miss. It's your kitchen counter, you know, for the people out there that don't know. But I think that's one key thing about this show, that like we've made something out of nothing, really. You know, that's what this show is all about. We've always just come up with ideas on the fly, and being able to make what feels a bit like a studio out of your kitchen counter in your living room and shifting your couch out of the way just to make all this happen it's kind of magic, you know. We've really like turned my small living room by moving furniture around so we could have more space for, like, when we had the Santa rocking chair Christmas story thing and dance with Sadie Sue.
Yeah, like so many things. Like, it's funny, like no one would ever know where that happens. And then luckily we got to actually go out on location and shoot fun stuff out in parks and the mountains.
And the fact that your living room also worked in the Infinity Space video, you know, It was almost a perfect replica of the Office Space location.
I don't know how it turned out that way, but it does. If you put them side by side, I got the same shitty apartment that he does.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I never thought, like, that's one of those things I had an idea for, and I was just, for like 2 years, I'm like, but I'll never do it. I'll never find a Thor, you know, like, and then we're just like, fuck it. Who cares if the guy's buff or not? It's like, you know.
Well, and the perfect casting. Our Thor is almost better than the real thing, I'd say. But
I agree.
Even when he's fat Thor.
But yeah, it's funny, like how we kind of evolved from just being sort of that podcast format that we talked about, you know, where it's just a couple of visuals, our audio wasn't great, and we went really long, to finally getting on camera about a year later and making fun shows to watch. Like, and then, you know, our first like 3 years were so much more like drinking based, and then that's kind of like tapered down, you know, a little bit.
He gives classes. The mission is very possible is to get Thandie Newton back together with her ex-boyfriend and find a biological weapon. Slow-mo dubs and action scenes ensue. Tom Cruise saves the girl. No plot. 45 minutes in. Keep waiting for Thandie Newton. It's funny.
That was our last Gulp review before the pandemic, and
true,
that was a really fun show. Us just not being there, but having like our glasses moving and drinking,
you know. We always try and make it different. That's what I love about Cinema Gulp, is that we don't just do the same review over and over, because movies can become repetitive, especially when you're reviewing the Marvel Cinematic Universe or something like that, that you feel like you're reviewing the same movie over and over sometimes. So we always find a way to make it fun and different. At least that's my opinion on it.
Well, that's why we turned the Deadpool 2 review into like a comedy roast, and the whole thing was like extreme, where we're just cussing the whole time, because why take the movie and give it a serious review when it's not taking itself seriously enough? It's just, it's more honoring the movie to like make your review all fucking crazy when you're talking about Deadpool, you know? And I love that one. So it's a 6.75 squirts on the cockometer for me. We have fan letter from Mark on our Facebook page. Congrats, gents. 5 years of the Gulps is a great accomplishment. The best part of selling a good movie is now finished with one of your reviews. Here's to 5 more. Thanks, Mark from Facebook. You are our one and only letter.
Well, hey, cheers to that, Mark.
Cheers, Mark, and thank you very much, man. I know who that is, and he watches a lot of shit.
Excellent.
It's
Yeah,
not Mark. It's not Mark, our fellow reviewer, that's coming.
exactly. Yeah.
There's lots of Marks, and Mark has
Alright.
done some awesome shows with us too. Like he became a normal for a long time.
I miss having on. I mean, I think every episode that we've done, it's usually been the three of us. I guess there's been one where he maybe had some other people involved, but I don't know. I think there's a fun dynamic when it's the three of us. We get into some interesting discussions and pick the movie apart in a fun way. Like
Nothing could top the Predator happy hour.
no.
That was the best happy hour by a fucking mile.
That one was excellent. That had some of the most drinking of any review, I'd say.
Oh my God, the beer bong.
When
Yeah.
you pull the beer bong out, yeah, it's all downhill.
Your fucking skull out, like yeah.
Chug, 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 chug. Yeah! All of you! Drink it!
You know, it seemed like once a summer we were doing the chug shows, and obviously we had to miss last summer's. Here's hoping maybe this summer we could do a chug show for something. We should be able to. We'll see. Pitching this whole show is like what has happened in cinema since we started in April of 2016. Like who's become some of your like we're going to talk about the favorite movies and things like that. Like, is there anything you want to bring up that's happened? I know that you've been mostly disappointed with every year.
And this is the worst year in 27 years for movies, in my
You've got to be
opinion.
kidding me.
But 2018 was a pretty weak year, in my opinion. I thought it was shit. Terrible. So, Ben, since we've been doing Cinema Gulp in these last 5 years, what filmmakers would you say have kind of really been consistent or stepped it up where you're like, okay, this is the person I enjoy watching the most now? You know, we all have our favorites, but not all of them are working in the last 5 years or have really done anything to impress in the last 5 years. So who's kind of the ones right now that you're feeling the most strongest about, that you can't wait for their next film, or that you're consistently, the chance that we get to review these kind of filmmakers, you're always impressed with their latest work?
Alex Garland for me. And I know Ex Machina was about a year before. It was the 2015, so it was a year before we started the show. But with Annihilation, and I know that's the only movie he's done since we've been a channel, but he also did Devs, which is an amazing sci-fi, heady Hulu show, eight episode, one-off season, brilliant, fucking brilliant. Everything about Alex Garland is in that show. So in a way, it's kind of like another big movie. Yeah, to me, that's the guy. Like, and I am loving what Taylor Sheridan's been doing, and obviously like Denis Villeneuve has been doing. And we've gotten to do one QT movie since we've been a channel, and it was a great movie.
For me, Taika Waititi, even though he kind of I jumped on the radar with him with What We Do in the Shadows, which
Same
was a
year,
year before we started our thing.
Same year as mine, yeah, 2015.
He was still just such an indie voice at the time that I didn't think he'd be on the stage he is now with the stuff he's able to put out now. And the three films that we've been able to review from him have consistently been some of my favorites from each of the years that he's put out movies.
Right.
He's got something coming out, I believe, that's about soccer or something. Who cares? It's about soccer. It's gonna be fucking great. It's Taika Waititi. I'm excited. And then obviously another Thor movie. So you know, he's a voice that's emerged in the last 5-6 years that has really impressed me, and I totally enjoy watching everything he's got coming out.
Yeah, when I read the synopsis for Jojo Rabbit, I'm like, that sounds fucking stupid, but it's Taika Waititi, and it turned out to be great. Totally.
You said Denis Villeneuve. He's another one that we've been able to do 2 movies of his, and I wish if we didn't have the pandemic, we would have had 3 probably, because Dune would have already come out, I think. So he's another one of those filmmakers that, you know, he'd already impressed me with a couple things before we were doing the reviews, but he's been very consistent during this 5 years.
Well, we've gotten two with him, right?
Yeah, we had
Arrival,
Arrival,
yeah,
and Blade Runner 2049, which turned out to be my favorite film of that year. So he's definitely one of those voices. I think James Mangold, in terms of films that we've been able to get to review, his last 2 films have been some of the best of the years that he
both in our top 10s.
Yeah, so he's another one that, like, during this 5-year period and the chance that we've had to review, he's really impressed.
This year in particular, I mean, we started binge drinking in 2018, and then in 2019 we did a Stranger Things one with you and me and Josh and Joanne. But we've really kicked up the TV portion by doing a lot of Cobra Kai episodes, by doing WandaVision, and even a fun one with me and Devin doing Police Squad, the 6 episodes of Police Squad.
That's right. That was for TV binge drinking. Yeah.
That wins the most random as fuck award right there.
They're wholly new shows, which we totally love doing. The binge drinking, the chug show. I mean, that we need way more of that, because that's just such a wonderful fun time at the movies, basically. And then your series with the music stuff,
Film and vinyl. Yeah.
Film and vinyl, like that's kept this, during this year when we don't have new movies to reflect on, you've been able to go back and look at some really great classics, but also look at them in a way that no one else is really doing. No other show is out there, putting that focus and that introspective look at the music and how the music came to be a part of this great film.
Yeah. And then let's not forget the show that you created that we need to do more of, because I'm getting addicted to those ones. Like, First of the Best is fucking brilliant. It's so much fun. Yes, we're blowing each other right now.
I know, it does feel like that.
No, but that's such an interesting show. Again, no one is doing that,
Yeah, and I know this sounds like we're blowing each other, but I really like your show and you really like my show, and we both have a lot of fun trying to come up with ideas.
That my best friend, she a real bad bitch, got her own money. She don't need no nigga on the dance floor. She had 2-3 drinks, now she twerking. She throw it out and come back in. That's my best friend. She a real bad bitch, drive her own car.
I love our holiday shows so much, and I can't wait till you're back in the studio, and then we're doing our Halloween marathon and our Christmas one, because it was fun doing a big group Zoom thing for Christmas this year, but it didn't feel the same. But it was great though to see everybody and stuff.
Rest, punk. Fuck you. No, I'm not. I got a problem with authority. Hey, fuck that. No one cuffs me.
We have Charlie Harper from 2.5 Men.
Well, and it's funny, like a lot of those shows that were popular when we came on and first started, they're all gone. Like, they didn't have longevity. Like, they just dropped off the planet. So I'm proud that we like keep coming up with ideas and shit. And it's like, to us, it was never about subs, which is why we never stopped doing it. It's therapy. It's therapeutic for us. It's fun for us. Like, you and I just like watching
movies.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, so there's no reason. I mean, yeah. Have I gotten bitter before because I'm frustrated that a really fantastic thing we didn't blow up? Sure. I would like if Infinity Space like made us fucking instant stars, like some other, because you see other people do similar type of parody things and they've got like 4 million fucking views.
sold my blueprint for 16 grand, started a franchise. On the track, here was a landslide. I got a glimpse of the future with the greenhouse effect and relativity.
Okay, so we've reached the part of the show where we're going to welcome on some guests to Cinema Gulp, but some who are still regulars as far as reviewing things with us, joining the shows. Some new participants who have come on recently, all fans, all badasses. And this is the Cinema Gulp 5-year panel. Okay, so returning for the 5-year anniversary, there's Joanne. Hello, Joanne.
Hi.
Alvarez, that is. Obviously, Devin, all the way from Colorado. Thanks, man. I know you got a busy schedule, so thanks.
Good to see you, Devin.
Mark B in the house. Good to see you, man.
What's up, everybody?
Nice to see you, Brian.
Hey guys, how you doing? Rock and roll.
Some of you guys on this panel may not know, but in the center there is Black Philip Alvarez, who's got his own new YouTube channel.
No.
He's come on ours a couple of times, done an awesome job. We've had fun talking WandaVision and talking Zack Snyder's Justice League. So thanks for coming on with us, man.
This is a real background, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the fan gives it away.
Yeah, the fan. Hopefully it doesn't bother y'all too much.
No, man. No, not the sound. But you got all these sick movie posters, and then there's
maybe
just
the Wonder Woman poster, but other than that,
you're forgetting for that.
But he has Teen Wolf and Teen Wolf 2 right next to each other, which is pretty badass.
Whoa.
I couldn't tell. That's awesome.
It's our 5-year anniversary, and here comes Bobak. There he is. What's up, Bobak?
Hey.
Thanks so much for joining, man. You've been such a big part of the show.
Glad to have you back on after a long stretch.
Yeah, well, you came on for the holiday special, but before that, it had been a while.
Yeah.
Bobek's been a part of some of the funnest shows by far.
Is that working for you guys? I want to fuck Han Solo in the shower.
Oh, and Captain Cockney Spock is coming on. This is a fellow YouTuber who had me on his show last week to help promote today. And it's pretty awesome. Can you hear me, Cap?
Hello, Cinema Gulp.
Oh, man. Thank you so much for coming on, sir.
Rock and roll. Yep, I had to ask my teenage son for permission. You're cutting into my dad time, Dad, but that's
I know.
fine. I'll just play on my phone. So here we are.
I apologize. I always forget because you're coming from New Zealand. So, yeah, way different time.
Damn, that's where I am. Yeah, it's apparently it's tomorrow over here. It's very confusing.
Ben, it's
Nice.
that New Zealand viewership is paying off. Remember, in the early days, we had lots of fans in Australia and New Zealand.
We did. We
paying off.
had a big fan base because we were the only Americans that reviewed Hunt for the Wilder People, apparently.
Acha, good call. By the way, now I apologize that I'm without camera, but I don't have my pith helmet with me, and it's a crime to appear without my helmet. It's against army regulations. So
I understand. It's your character, man. I get it.
Exactly. That's what my son says.
Just happy that you're here and we could celebrate our 5 years, and it's been really fun hanging out with you on your show and getting to know you. Your show is fun as shit, man. It's crazy. And...
Nicely put. Thank you, sir. Yeah, we like to skirt on the edge of decency, but hopefully just about on the right side. And remember, if we're not ragging you, that means we don't know you well enough. And if we are ragging you, we love you. That's the key thing. It's always done out.
Yeah, I finally figured that out. The question posed is very simple. Since we started this channel 5 years ago, do you have a favorite film that's come out since then? Do you want to start with Mark?
All right, I guess I'll lead the charge. So for me, this happened to be a 2016 pick, so it would have been first year Cinema Gulp, right? And as a big fan of animation, I had to go to an animated film. I looked through all the last 5 years, and the last two actually had like nothing for me. But this one, the title for me goes to Zootopia. So
nice.
I love it. To me, it's a great story. You've got awesome characters, particularly the main two protagonists. They have a great dynamic. They have a great relationship that you watch unfold. I really enjoyed the take they did on the animals this time around, because they had a lot of fun with the scale, where the city itself is also a character, where you actually see like how they had from the smallest critter to the largest one coexist, and all the fun stuff that they did there. At the time too, it felt like it was a worthy addition to like the Disney lineup, because it felt like they were having like their animated renaissance again, kind of before the whole remake era and woke era. It was just a really well told story, and the focus was on story and character. And then for me, the themes were really great too, because it was like follow your dreams. They were timeless and topical, because it also had to do with the kind of climate of the time now, and it seems like it's still relevant today, about getting the bias, the stereotypes, the getting along, talking to each other, understanding one another. It's like back then it was relevant, and it's still important today.
Hey, Joanne, do you want to go? Let's go with yours, because I know you've actually been doing a lot of work trying to figure it out.
I've got so many. I had to cross them out.
Wow.
I'm just gonna
research.
Yeah, I needed to
Joanne,
remind
you
myself.
learned from so many years hanging out with me, huh?
I thought of
down
you
your
when I
list.
was doing this. I'm like, this is only like a quarter of what you do,
We got another guest with us, and it's Scotty. How's it going, bud? Good to see you.
Happy birthday, Ben.
Thank you. It's John's birthday too.
Hey, Scotty.
Hey.
Hap.
Hey, Scotty.
Bill. Heavens.
For those of you guys in the panel that don't know, Scotty came on the Zack Snyder Justice League show with me and Black Philip, and they both crushed it. It was super fun. So we wanted to have them back because they're awesome on the show. So thanks, Scotty, for giving us the time, my friend.
Oh, my stars. Thank you for allowing me to, again, I'm just happy to be welcome.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna name a few, just so all the research doesn't go for nothing, and just for like,
I want to hear it.
just want to quickly name a few of my top picks, from each year. For 2016, I had Don't Breathe, which I actually saw in the theater twice because I liked it.
That was a
so
cool
much.
movie. Yeah.
You know,
Good
riveting.
movie, bad advice.
Hell or High Water was another favorite of that year. 2017, I had Get Out. Thought that was awesome. Three Billboards was another favorite.
Good one.
I had Annihilation and Bohemian Rhapsody and The Mule. I loved The Mule. I mean, I think the other two were maybe like, I limit them down to kind of better movies, but to be honest with you, like in the theater, I had a crush on The Mule. You know what I mean? Like I was just like smiling the whole time, and just, you know, in terms of enjoyment, that was like really a top pick. And then I think what's going to be my overall favorite is The Joker.
Oh,
okay. That's a good pick.
Yeah. So
that on my honorable mention list too.
You got a chance to review the Joker for
Correct.
us. You're
Yes.
one of the people on that particular review. And I think you gave it a 10, right?
11.
She did, yeah.
You gave it an 11. Okay.
I think this one goes to 11.
Yeah, our show does not give out many 10s. For really,
that's right.
unless we're working with films from the past, you often don't get a 10 on our show. 11 is actually our highest mark, just because we love to turn it up to 11 when we can.
Okay, everyone, hold on to your seats. Brian and Jamie, your favorite movie of the last 5 years?
Well, last 5 years, huh?
Goonies.
No, that's not.
Okay, thanks, Brian and Jamie. And,
although that is a great. No, I mean, I agree with Joker. It's a fantastic movie, but it's very depressing.
Yeah.
But the way I rank movies is not what's the most touching and what makes me like cry and this sort of thing. What makes me like movies is watching it more than once.
Yeah.
What movie have you watched more than
rewatchable?
One,
yeah.
two? I mean, how many times have you watched? Sorry to say, but Endgame. I watched Endgame 10 times.
I've seen
0
it 2 or 3
times.
times, but only because
Brian, which is better, Infinity War or Endgame?
I think Infinity War is more rewatchable.
Yeah.
Brian?
Agreed, 100%.
You're right. Infinity War is better. And I wish.
And I've
real
watched both. They're like, as soon as they both came out on disc, they're a
You
double
watched
feature
both?
that are amazing.
Endgame, what's that? Never heard of it. Never seen it.
But I mean, it doesn't mean it's the best movie. It's just so easy to watch. It's like
Not better than Howard the Duck.
Yes, that's
Nothing's
although
better
I've
than
seen
Howard the
that-
Duck. Nothing's better than Howard the Duck.
Come on, man. Oscar-winning Tim Robbins. Come on.
Yeah, totally.
Leah Thompson, remember that? Ooh.
Might have been my first boner.
Yeah,
Possibly. The underwear in the bed scene.
Jeffrey Jones?
No, that was his first boner.
No, Leah Thompson.
The Duck?
Leah Thompson.
Okay, good
No,
one.
I really. You know what? Everyone shits all over the duck boobies, and I enjoyed the duck boobies. Like someone had to make that as a puppet.
How much
And
did you
I
enjoy the
can't-
duck boobies, Scotty? How much?
Minutes at a
Like the
time.
Duck Girl.
Could you think about it? Yeah, you're right, Scotty. You could shit on Howard the Duck all you want, but are we ever going to see another movie where a walking talking duck works as a jizz mopper in a strip club?
Never.
All right, I'm out. That's it. It's a Sunday over here.
Never again.
Why do you like Bohemian Rhapsody? The entire movie is a lie. Why not just listen to the soundtrack?
Uh-oh, controversy already.
Oh,
Wait.
Well, I'm just curious. That's it's an honest question. I'm not trying to be rude.
Well, you want to say what parts are lies and stuff?
Well,
Sure.
let's go through it. Okay, there's the
Captain,
Live
I
Aid thing.
cede the floor.
It's a lie.
Yeah, it is. Like historically, it is a lie.
Unlike Howard the Duck.
Okay, let's go. Let's move over to Black Philip Alvarez, man. I know you got some favorites.
Well, I didn't want to pick the obvious, sequel comic book movie, and I just better do my homework. But I already told you about it, and I was gonna pick Ford v Ferrari.
Oh, that's a great one,
Nice.
man. That was
Really good
me and
pick.
John had that in the
Nice.
top 3.
The story was good. The characters were good. It even had humor in it. I mean, I was surprised how humorous the movie was, and it had a lot of heart. That's the first movie that popped in my head. I didn't want to pick the typical, comic book film like Deadpool and Deadpool 2. And I love all those movies, don't get me wrong, but, I would have, got to be different here.
That's a fucking great pick, dude. That movie is a beast. I love that.
Fun fact, my cousin did the stunt driving in that movie.
That's right.
Oh, really? Wow, that's awesome.
My cousin Tony Hunt.
We gave him a shout out. Yeah, we put his picture up on there.
He bought the Shelby from the movie. He owns it now.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's a nice car.
Let's move over to Devin.
I haven't been to a lot of movies in the last 5 years, but I was thinking of my favorites, and Ford v Ferrari was one of them. I actually went, beside the fact that my cousin was doing the driving in it, I was engaged in the movie. I didn't think I would like it, but I was fully engaged watching it, and the stunt driving scenes were awesome.
I agree.
Aside from that, I would go with Wind River was one of my favorites in the last 5 years. Wind River was a fantastic movie. John Barenthal kicked ass on that.
Yeah.
Very interesting. It was something you don't see. When was the last movie made about anything happening on Indian reservations, like Thunderheart, Val Kilmer? Right. Another one that was already mentioned that stands out a lot to me is Infinity War, and that movie is so rewatchable for me. Anyway, and the funny thing is, I was never really into all the Marvel Universe movies, but then when I saw that one, it made me go back and start watching all the other ones prior to it. And that movie had me so enthralled the whole time. And I've probably seen that movie anywhere between 5 to 10 times. I love that movie. It's fantastic.
There's just like no dull moments in that movie. It never stops moving forward, you know? And that's crazy for a 3-hour long movie to not give you boring segments.
Yeah. And you don't get bored while you're sitting through
20.
What's that?
I agree.
It's about 2.5.
But either way, no, I agree with it. And part of the reason why that was one of my favorite movies ever is because at the end of the movie, like, it was 10 minutes before the movie ended, and I was like, are they gonna win?
Yeah.
I know, right?
But I wish there wasn't already a sequel announced. I mean, I know that's the way Hollywood works. We already knew, but I really walked out of the theater. I honestly looked around the theater at all the people crying because whoever disappeared, and I was like, they'll be back in 6 months, guys. What?
Yeah, but there's people that don't trades like all of us do, and like they literally didn't know what the fuck was happening, whereas like Marvel's strategy has always been they give you the next 5-year slate of movies, so there's always that little spoiler. Like Spider-Man Homecoming was the biggest fucking spoiler ever, because you're like, okay, well there's another Spider-Man movie after Infinity War, so he's clearly still alive at some point, you know. But yeah. Hey Cap, let's go with you next.
What, me? Who? Okay. Well, on the Avengers thing, by the way, I still haven't seen Endgame, so for me, Infinity War is the ending, and they stayed lost because I haven't I refuse to see Endgame because of timey-wimey nonsense. I've just been doing a few broadcasts all about the rules of time travel, and there's too many parallel universes, too much butterfly effect, too much timey-wimey nonsense. Plus, even without the time travel within the story, 5-year time jumps. Too much for the brain to take on board. So I've never seen Endgame, and probably never will.
You have to watch Endgame to find out how they weasel their way out of all the time.
Just watch it plastered, you know.
I can understand the criticism about time travel, though. Very few movies do it well.
Yeah, exactly. I'm all about the 12 Monkeys approach. There's one timeline, no paradoxes, just, well, apart from, anywho, that's a whole nother story. But to be fair, until I see Endgame, I can't form an opinion on it. And I have to give credit to Black Philip, who gave me a top tip about film critiquing. He said, hey, Cockney, why don't you try watching a movie before forming an opinion on it? And I was like, I'm going to take that on board. Yes. Controversial, but factual. So shout out to Black Philip for that. And as far as Marvel movies go generally, even when I was a comics nerd back in the early to mid 80s, I loved comics, but I didn't like superheroes. It was just people running around in their pants. There's nothing wrong with that, of course. But so now that there's superhero movies, which of course isn't the same necessarily as comic book movies, my favorite two Marvel movies are basically the Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2. For me, they're by far the best movies, and therefore the best thing about Avengers Infinity War was the appearance of the Guardians, especially their interactions with Thor, who to me, yeah. So that was that's the build up. And then as for my favorite movie of the last 5 years, and for this I have to give a shout out to Cardinal Sin, because he recommended this movie to me, even though I had seen it 3 times already. And in my arrogance, formed an opinion. I speak of Blade Runner 2049, and the Cardinal was like, "No, Cap, give it another go. Give it a 4th try. It really takes on the 4th try." I was like, "Yeah, whatever." I'm like, "Just do it." I was like, "Okay, then." I watched it, and on the 4th go, Blade Runner 2049 was amazeballs. And then on the 5th viewing, best movie of the last 5 years, no contest, easy answer to the question, Blade Runner 2049. The only problem is that inevitably it's going to suffer by comparison, because Blade Runner, the original from '82, not including the 17 different versions, the director's cut, the final cut, yada, 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 have talked about it at some length. But Blade Runner, especially the final cut, that's just such a classic movie. It's, the sequel is always going to suffer by comparison. So my recommendation is just watch Blade Runner 2049 without expectations, although it's the best, it's a fine line. It's the best movie of the last 5 years, but don't get your expectations up too much. Don't compare it to the original. See it in its own right. It could even be separate canon, parallel universe, whatever you like. But basically, just amazing direction, amazing acting, amazing story. And as Cinema Gulp, you and I have discussed, in spite of what the director, Denis Villeneuve, thinks, it does start touching upon the question of whether Deckard is a Blade Runner without definitively answering
Replicant.
it. And they're,
Replicant,
don't get into it now. Don't do it. Don't do it, Scotty. Stay back. Back, Scotty.
That's his question.
Replicant. Yeah, it's well, we could go into it now, but we'd be on.
Well,
for
Deckard
5
was a
hours.
Blade Runner. I was just trying to correct your thought.
He was a Blade Runner and a replicant, or was he a human?
No.
Was he really a Blade Runner?
Oh, I understand what you meant by staying out of this particular pudding.
Yeah, no, sorry, I'm getting too excited. He was definitely a Blade Runner. There's no debate.
He certainly was a Blade Runner.
I know that was John. That was your favorite movie of 2017, right?
Yeah, Blade Runner 2049. Most of my favorite movies have been mentioned here, so that's nice to know.
Yeah, that was one of my honorable mentions too on my list.
Let's go with
What
Bob.
about Thor Ragnarok? That was good. 2017.
Sure, it was fun.
Yeah, I quite
Bob,
like that.
let's go with you.
Top 7.
I also was trying to think of a movie that I've seen more than one time, because it kind of almost annoys me to watch a movie twice. I'm kind of like, I've seen that already. How dare you still have it in my queue, But the other day, and this one doesn't count, but the other day I was just, browsing, and I started watching Mad Max all over again, which I love it, but then I looked up the year and I was like, ooh, it's 6 years old, so can't quite get that one in here, but that's something that I've seen twice. I was going to talk about it how I found that out. Then I did what Joanne did and just started looking at the best movies in Rotten Tomatoes and, over the years. And I was just like, wow, I really enjoyed The Death of Stalin. It was
we watched that together.
Like the
That's
movie?
what Beria said.
Yeah, well, the event.
Or did you just generally appreciate the death of Stalin?
I think
I was
you
gonna
have
say
to
the movie or the
appreciate that,
historical.
in general, it's like, I wish that it was a firing squad, but hey, I guess the bad guy usually dies in his palace, just, whatever. But the movie itself was hilarious. I love that it just had like an all-star cast. I mean, probably my favorite performance was Simon Beale as just the slimy little weaselly, like secret police chief that's just murdering all his friends left and right, and finally gets it in the end. He had a great death scene. I just love the actor who played Zukov, and just such a badass coming in with a chest full of medals and stuff. But I teach history. I love history, and so it was just a great moment that was actually brought to screen in a very accessible way, because that's the type of thing you get in documentaries, and to see it in just a humorous way where I love that none of the actors even tried to do an accent. They just were like, no, we're all comics. We're just going to deliver our comic thing straight, like And but everyone was the character, and they really brought that history to life. I love it. I enjoyed it. I would love to see it again, and I could actually probably use it to teach history if I was really going to teach that period or whatever. But I do want to give a shout out to probably my favorite movie of this year, which was not so entertaining, a lot more existential. We just watched Quo Vadis Aida last night about the Srebrenica massacre, in Bosnia-Herzegovina and all that. And it was really well made. I mean, I think the casting was probably some of the best. I love it when you have real people cast, instead of just like a bunch of models or whatever. A bit of a downer for this moment right now, but it was very well made. Existentialist, film, looking at how people deal with their own demise. And so I really enjoyed it. I think it was very well made. I would definitely watch that again, but I think I'm going to stick with Death of Stalin, just because it's a lot more humorous and light. You can throw it on with some friends over and stuff, and it still really gets in there. But
fun fact, Bobak. I don't know if you
Yeah.
remember this. You and I and a bunch of other people were at Joanne's house for a sangria party, and we were pretty fucked up. And we came back to the Cinema Gulp Studios, and you said, dude, because we were all revved up. It was still pretty early. You're like, dude, you got to watch The Death of Stalin. Let's watch it. And let's fucking review it. Let's get the green screen up and let's do it.
Yeah.
We put up all the green screen first. Got the cameras ready. Got the lights. Got the whole 3-point kick up.
And
Got
passed
5 minutes
out.
into the movie and passed the fuck out.
Yeah. Like 2 in the morning.
How many times have we done that?
Dude, but like, I just wish we hadn't set up the whole fucking set.
Seemed like a great idea at the time.
Let's go with Scotty. We're almost through the round. Let's go with Scotty.
Well, what is the question?
Best movie to you of the last 5 years.
Instead of providing you that answer, and the best movie in the last 5 years, I would have to say, is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
I love it.
It is the nicest Tarantino, and yet it has the most Tarantino. And so that would be my answer. However, I have a top 10 list. This is how I judge movies, and I think this goes with some other people's. It doesn't matter. It's more of an emotional response to the movie as opposed to being the logical response to the movie. So a 1 out of 10. I saw it. That's all I'm going to say about it. If someone says, did you see Donnie Darko? Yes, 1 out of 10.
Ooh.
2. Yeah, I know. I went there. Number two, I saw it and I will talk about it. So 2 out of 10, Supergirl. 3, I saw it and I will answer questions. Because if I don't want to answer questions, I'm pretty much just going to say 1 out of 10. Question 4, I saw it and I myself will offer an opinion. I like the Justice League.
Which one?
5 out of... Well,
don't
I
detract
will
him,
offer
Philip.
an opinion. This is 4 out of 10.
So the video we did, right?
Question. Okay, so out of 5 out of 10, I will discuss it, and I may be persuaded to change my opinion.
What?
6 out of 10, I will see it again on purpose. 7 out of 10, no wait, 7 out of 10, I will watch it again with other people. 7 out of 10, I'll recommend it. 9 out of 10, I will recommend it to watch with other people.
Hey, skipped 8.
I think, no, he said 7 twice, so he hit.
He said there we go.
The big 7.
Don't
My
detract
list
him.
has 2 7s. 9
much
out
to
of
tell in
10,
that
I will
handwriting.
recommend watching it with other people. And 10 out of 10 movie is,
Donnie
what are you
Darko.
doing? Let's watch it now.
I like that scale. Great scale, man.
I like the scale, but I don't like the fact that Donnie Darko, one of the best movies ever made, is the poster child for a low score. No,
Me
Hey,
too.
man,
Scotty R37.
you can enjoy
Damn
shitting
Scotty
yourself as
words.
much as you want.
I think I'm with Scotty on that one. Though.
I am not a
I'm
fan
with
of Donnie
Captain.
Darko.
No.
Not a fan.
Having an opinion
But I
different
also
from
think that
mine
Bohemian
helps
Rhapsody
me,
is a
Dave.
lie.
Ah,
Hey,
but
hey, John.
so is
I'd like to
so is
talk about
Once
that
Upon a Time in
offline.
We're gonna go with one half of the Cinema Gulp brain. What is your favorite movie of the last 5 years, John?
Well, a lot of my favorite movies over the last 5 years have been mentioned. Some of the ones that aren't my top pick were Blade Runner 2049.
Yes.
3 Billboards, which was mentioned. Wind River. I feel like a lot of these are coming from the same year. So that was a pretty good year, I guess. But Annihilation was another good one that was mentioned. So my favorite pick goes all the way back to 2016. And I think the reason I haven't found a movie to eclipse it in that time is the movies have just been getting worse and worse, in my personal opinion. I have found it harder and harder to come up with a strong list of 5 movies. I wouldn't even know where to begin. I know we had a pandemic and we didn't get the normal release schedule last year, but last year, just what they're calling the best of the year is a waste of time, in my opinion, to formulate some kind of grand top 10 list that's actually worthy and filled with great films by great filmmakers. It's just the 10 best movies that got a chance to be seen last year. So
don't leave out Coming to America.
Ooh. Haven't seen that
Please
one
do. Please do.
Had the pleasure.
Like, why did you say
Don't
that
get
title?
me fucking started. We'll be on Zoom
But
all
yeah,
night.
my favorite movie over the last 5 years, going back to 2016, is still going to be Hell or High Water. No movie has eclipsed that.
Such a good
movie. There's nothing to complain about with that movie. It's kind of perfect. I mean, there's a million movies that I would pick ahead of that in terms of my favorite movies of all time. But from the last 5 years, what I have to choose from, that's about as close to a perfect movie as you can get. And not much more needs to be said about that one. If you've seen
it, an 11,
how good it is.
Dude, Black Philip is born, raised Texan, and he didn't even know what that fucking movie was when I asked him about it.
No, I've never seen it, but I've heard about it.
You need to watch that movie. It's so Texas.
On Scotty's
I'll find it in Texas, I promise.
On Scotty's scale, what are we doing? You need to watch it now.
Oh, it's a 10. It's a 10.
Yes, exactly.
All right.
The opposite of Donnie Darko.
Yeah. We have to say hi to Bob X's beautiful wife, Lee. Hi.
Oh, hi, Lee.
Hello.
Hi.
You got to have a favorite movie last 5 years, right? Is it also The Death of Stalin?
No. I mean, it was fun, but it wasn't really my style. So I'm more like a romantic person. And personally, I like, Ryan Gosling a lot. So I have to say my favorite movie is La La Land.
Boom, science.
Yeah, so it's just like beautiful, like a musical. Normally Bob doesn't watch musical at all, but that's the only one he can handle. So that's,
it was good.
I'm surprised. He doesn't watch it.
I can't watch musicals for like more than 30 seconds. I just can't.
This half of the brainchild of Cinema Gulp's favorite movie the last 5 years is Annihilation. John was talking about perfection with Hell or High Water. I think of the word perfection differently. It's perfect for me. It's everything that I love about movies. I love it's dreary at times. It's beautiful. It's super colorful. It's imaginative. It's original. It's an all-female cast without saying, hey, look at us. We got an all-female cast. Just happens to be that way. It's never brought up. It's never like, well, men couldn't do this, but we can. Like, it's never about that. It's about the plot of the movie. And the plot of the movie is fucking bonkers. And it's directed by Alex Garland, who's a visionary. He takes his time with his stories. He builds his characters. He gives you a lot of tragedy in the face of like beauty via sci-fi. Normally, he's a big sci-fi head. He did Ex Machina in 2015, one of my favorite movies of that year. Last year, he did an amazing fucking Hulu show called Devs, which is heady as fuck sci-fi, 8-episode one-off season. Annihilation is just, it's the only 10 I've given in 5 years. I was blown away in the theater. I saw it 3 more times in the theater. I own it on Blu-ray. Every time I've gone on at least more than 2 dates with a girl, I go, hey, do you want to come over and watch Annihilation? And I'll talk through the whole thing and tell you how awesome it is. To me, it's just a perfect movie. Even and I know John loved it very much. We looked at each other after we watched it and we said, oh my God, like, and
yeah,
I think it was his favorite movie of 2018.
Yeah. Well, it's great how it ends.
He had issues with the ending
when it ended, we sat in the theater and we were kind of in shock at how good it was. And that's just a rare thing. You don't, we go to the movies. We used to go to the movies, once a week, twice a week if we could. And we would sit there, we'd come out of it and ready to talk or whatever. We just had to sit there in silence and soak that movie in.
Yeah.
It really had that kind of special effect on us at the end of that movie. And we turned and said, this is a masterpiece. And we really meant it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean it to this day, a few years later. That was about little over 3 years ago. And it's still my favorite. It's, that movie and maybe The Social Network are like my favorite movies of that decade, and that would be a tough one to call. You got Wolf of Wall Street in there and stuff too, which is great. But like that movie just gave me the feels, man. And I remember like when we finally did our review the next day, John, like you had these, little tiny issues with it. And I didn't see it that way because the ending to me was, and if you rewatch it, and I'm not saying you have to rewatch a movie a bunch of times in order for it to make sense, you shouldn't have to do that. But when you rewatch it, it does end up making more sense. And you can kind of decide, not for yourself, but you can kind of decide like what's going to happen next. And I guess it is a part 1 of a 3-book trilogy, but it ends itself perfectly where you don't really need to know anything else.
No, she's not herself anymore. She's been replaced.
Yeah. Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
What happened?
Yeah, everyone that I recommend, it's one of those rare movies that everyone I recommend it to actually really ends up going do that. I remember Devin, I kept blabbering about it, and then you finally saw it, and you're like, that movie's fucking badass. And I was like, oh, good, I'm glad he liked it. I wasn't sure.
Same here.
That movie was sick. It was so original, so creative, and it was a mind fuck at the same time. That was a fantastic movie. Just engaged the whole way through.
And all the while, like, while you're telling, when you can watch a movie where the storytelling is engaging enough, but then the visuals are doing the same thing to you. It's almost like how they have that weird 4D movie experience where like you feel the wind and the wetness. Like the movie, the way the movie's framed and the way the camera moves, it's disorienting because that's what the characters are feeling. Remember, John, like when we're watching the scenes where you're like, was some of this movie out of focus? I'm like, it was intentionally out of focus, It was intentionally kind of semi-Dutched at times too. Yeah. The Shimmer. The Shimmer is an amazing place that could have ended up being in another filmmaker's hands, really hokey and stupid, but he kept it to a minimum of the crazy monsters and the things, and he just let you realize that it's evolution with two very different like nucleuses, like DNAs, and like from there it's like there's no rules, You can have a big giant fucking alligator with human teeth and a big dick,
There was another movie that was the poor man's version of that. Was, remember Life? That movie Life?
I never saw that one with like Ryan Reynolds or whatever.
That was kind of
Venom's origin story,
right? In the spaceship.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It was okay. I like how it ended. It ended with the Earth being totally fucked.
I like that it ended.
Yeah.
Oh, Scotty, you are a one.
It was kind of low budget.
Okay, guys. Well, everyone on here from Mark, who's been on the show for pretty much since the first year, starting with Terminator 2 in 3D. I think that was Bobak's first time as well. Devin started coming on once we got on camera. Joanne, this last 2 years has been so great and so willing to do awesome shit, like dress up like Elvira and have puppets over her shoulder as her minions. And you're the only reason people watch that episode, because that's amazing. And Brian, like getting you involved more in this path ever since Infinity Space and having you do more shit has been such a treat. We love reviewing movies with you and Jamie, and we're gonna do Lord of the Rings 20th anniversary of the trilogy this fall. So be prepared for that, Brian. And Black Philip and Scotty, I've had so much fun having you guys on the show this last couple of months, and like getting a good relationship with you guys. You guys are funny. You have fun shit to talk about. So we'll do more shows together with John and Captain Cockney Spock. Go to his YouTube channel. It's fucking funny. It's smart. Yay. It's really smart, and it goes for a while, and he answers all of, unless your name is Cinema Gulp, he answers your name in the chat,
Sorry, missed you there. Complete accident. I'm sure we won't. We overlooked you. It will never happen again. Don't know how that happened.
Oh, it's okay. Just planted that little seed right there. But
nice, good work. Thanks for the shout
throwing
out,
out my piece, John. How about yourself, man? 5 years.
Thanks everyone for coming, and thanks everyone for supporting us over these last 5 years. We're going to keep it going. It seems to be growing, which is awesome. It's taken time to grow, but to see all these faces here, see all these people who seem to enjoy it and love talking movies, because that's really why Ben and I have done this from the beginning, is just to get a chance to talk movies and share that with other people. So you guys are awesome coming on and giving us that opportunity, and we're going to keep it going.
Yeah, dziękuję bardzo.
Yeah, means a lot, guys. Cheers, even if you don't have a beer.
Cheers.
Cheers.
We drink your cinema, everybody.
We drink your cinema. 5 more years. 5 more years.
5 more years. 5 more years. 5 more years.
Shazam.